Why is the church so against same-sex relationships? People cannot help how they are born. The church accepts people with disabilities and handicaps, so why not gays?
It's a really good question, and it's become a huge question in the last 10 years. And we are, because of that, one of our whole sermons in this series is going to be about sex and sexuality, because it's become such a large question so many people are having. So if it is something you'd be interested in looking in more, we're going to be doing a whole half hour on it on one of the Sundays in our series. I think just very briefly, I think it would be helpful just to turn the question around a moment though, and just say again, why do you think it is that sex is the thing that we're not prepared to allow ourselves to compromise on if we were thinking about following God? So I presume the argument is not, I don't like what the Bible says about sexuality and therefore Jesus can't have risen from the dead, because there's no logical link there. I imagine what somebody's saying is, if God was real and he loved me and he'd sent his son to die for me, I still wouldn't want that, because God says that I would need to compromise on what I want to do sexually. And I'd ask at that point, why is that true? There's people all over the world who say, okay, I've got to sacrifice my foreskin for following a particular God, or I've got to sacrifice my right to eat meat, or my right to drink alcohol, or all sorts of other things. And yet when it comes to the question of sex, people say, no, that's the line I won't cross. I'm not prepared for that. A lot of people do. And I just want to question why that is, and whether that actually indicates that the God in that system of the person, so the highest good, the thing which I think is most important and for which I sacrifice all other things, might actually be sexual self-expression. And I think that it tells us something, actually. Now, that may not be the view of the person who asked the question, I don't know. But what I've found is that a lot of people are prepared to compromise on any number of things in order to say, do you know what, if God is God, he'll say some things that I don't like, but I'm prepared to put up with that. I'm prepared to sacrifice things in order to follow him. And yet when it comes to sex, many modern people aren't. And I just want to question why that's true. We will, as I say, though, talk in a lot more detail about why God has this view of sex and why it's expressed in the way that the church and the Bible express it in the course of our series. So if you would be interested in hearing some more on that question, it'd be really helpful for you to come along.